Subject, ex-wife demanded an open marriage, so I replaced her with younger and better. Hey, true story. My name is Juan, and I've been listening to your channel for a while now. I never thought I'd be one of the guys writing in, but life has a way of humbling you, kicking you around, and teaching you lessons you didn't ask for. I figured I'd finally share mine. Just a heads up, I don't want this read until I send my follow-up. This is only part 1, and the real madness picks up after this point. I'll explain later, but for now, let me tell you how it all started. We met in probably one of the most random ways you could imagine at a Pilates class. No, I'm not joking. A man like me, with no real interest in Pilates, ended up sitting on a mat stretching in positions I didn't even know existed. But here's the thing. 2 years before that, I had been in a really bad car accident. Some guy blew through a stop sign, T-boned me, and left me with lingering back and hip issues. I walked away from it alive, which I'll always be thankful for, but the pain stuck around like a stubborn shadow. My doctor told me I needed to strengthen my core, loosen up my joints, and basically reteach my body how to move again. He recommended yoga or Pilates. Now I didn't see myself as the yoga type. Too much chanting, too much incense, too much spiritual energy talk for me. So I picked Pilates. I figured at least it looked more like a workout. And that's where she was, my future ex-wife. I'll call her Samantha for the sake of this story. She was one of the instructor's assistants, walking around correcting people's form, helping beginners like me not look like total fools. I remember she came over, adjusted my posture, and joked that I was about as flexible as a 2x4. I laughed. She laughed. And just like that, the spark was lit. We started chatting after class, then grabbing coffee, then going on actual dates. At that point, I was just trying to get back to some kind of normalcy in life. I was grateful to be able to walk and move again without constant agony. Meeting someone who showed me attention felt like a blessing. We dated for about 2 years before things got serious. She had this way of making me feel like I'd found a unicorn, a woman who was supportive, upbeat, fun, and interested in building a life together. Looking back now, I cringe at how naive I was. I bought into the fairy tale hook, line, and sinker. Getting serious. Around year 2, we got engaged. I truly believed I'd struck gold. I thought, finally, this is the woman I'm going to grow old with. She's the one. I poured everything into making her happy. I subscribed to the old saying, happy wife, happy life. I used to repeat it like it was gospel. I actually thought giving her everything she wanted, bending over backwards, putting her happiness above my own. That was the formula for a lasting marriage. Now, after everything, I see how silly that is. Marriage is supposed to be a partnership, not a one-sided service industry where the husband is the worker and the wife is the customer. But back then, I was caught up in the dream. I wanted marriage. I wanted love. I wanted the whole package. I see now that love, at least the way I thought it existed, is an illusion. It's not real, not in the sense I imagined. Still, I went all in. We tied the knot about 3 years after meeting, and for a while, things were good. Or at least I thought they were good. The shift. About 3 years into the marriage, something changed. It wasn't overnight. It was gradual, like watching a sunset you don't realize is happening until it's dark outside. She started acting different, colder. She was short with me, distant, and little things would set her off. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? I'd replay conversations in my head, wondering if I said something stupid or forgot to compliment her dress or messed up in some way. That's how bad it got. She had me doubting myself, like I was walking on eggshells in my own home. Then came the complaints. First, it was about us not traveling enough. She'd scroll through Facebook and Instagram, looking at her friends posting pictures in Greece, Italy, Mexico, you name it. She'd sigh and say, We never go anywhere. We never do anything exciting. I reminded her that traveling costs money, and at the time we were trying to be smart about our finances. I'd recently canceled a cruise we had planned so we could get the deposit money back and use it for bills. I thought that was the responsible thing to do, but to her, it was like I had committed a crime. She threw a fit about how her friends' husbands treat them like queens and take them everywhere, and how she's stuck at home with a man who never wants to do anything. It didn't matter that I was working my tail off to keep us afloat, paying for a nice house, putting food on the table, keeping the lights on. None of that counted in her eyes. What mattered was that she couldn't post flashy vacation pictures on Facebook to show off. That should have been my first sign. The bombshell. I'll never forget the day she dropped the bomb on me. We were sitting in the living room, not even arguing, just watching TV. Out of nowhere, she turns to me and says, "I want an open marriage." At first, I thought she was joking. I actually laughed, but she didn't laugh back. She just stared at me, dead serious, like she was ordering a pizza. "I'm serious, Juan," she said. "I can't keep living like this. We're young. We should be having fun. This is what I want, and honestly, this is how it's going to be." It wasn't a request. It wasn't a discussion. It was a demand. She basically told me, take it or leave it. And that's when something in me snapped. I sat there, staring at the woman I had vowed to spend my life with. The woman I thought was my unicorn. And I realized she had just killed any illusion of love or loyalty I had left. She wasn't interested in building a life together. She was interested in keeping me around as a provider while she chased excitement elsewhere. My response. I didn't yell, I didn't argue, I didn't beg. I quietly made an appointment with a divorce lawyer, and here's where fate stepped in. The lawyer I hired had a young assistant who was studying law, a beautiful, smart, ambitious woman. I wasn't even looking, but it was like she just fell into my lap. We started talking, then spending time together, and before I knew it, we were dating. I had one foot out the door of my marriage already. Emotionally, it was over the second my wife demanded that open marriage. So when the divorce papers were ready, I had no hesitation. Serving the papers. When she got served, she lost her mind. She stormed into the house waving the papers, demanding to know what this was about. "You can't do this! We're supposed to work through things!" she screamed. That's when she asked the question, "Are you seeing someone else?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Yes." I'll never forget the way her face twisted. She went from anger to heartbreak in a split second. Then came the begging. She broke down, crying, saying she didn't mean it, that she didn't really want an open marriage, that she still loved me. She said we could close the marriage again, that we could fix things, that she couldn't stand the thought of me replacing her. But it was too late. I moved forward with the divorce, where I stand now. She couldn't stand it. The idea of me actually moving on, replacing her with someone younger, smarter, and more supportive, it ate her alive. But here's the thing. Once a woman shows you who she really is, you can't unsee it. She demanded an open marriage. She made it clear I wasn't enough for her. That bell can't be unrung. So I pressed forward, signed the papers, never looked back. What's next? Now I'm going to stop here for now because the story doesn't end with the divorce. Not even close. After I replaced her, she tried pulling every dirty trick in the book to break me and my new girlfriend up. She spread lies, told my girlfriend I was physically, mentally, and financially abusive. She begged me to come back, claimed she still loved me, played the victim card, you name it. That part of the story gets wild, and I'll be sending it in my follow-up email. For now, I just ask that you don't read this until you get the whole story. It wouldn't make sense without part 2. Hey, true story. Now I need to tell you what happened after, because let me tell you, the divorce wasn't the end, not by a long shot. What came next was my ex spiraling into desperation, bitterness, and straight up madness. I'll walk you through all of it. Right after the divorce papers. Once she was served and realized I was serious, my ex lost the plot. She went from demanding an open marriage with confidence, almost smugness, to begging like her life depended on it. I remember her sitting on the floor in our living room, tears running down her face, pleading with me. Juan, please don't replace me. Please don't do this. I made a mistake. I was just frustrated. I love you. I don't want anyone else. Let's close the marriage and work it out. It was almost surreal. Here was the same woman who just weeks earlier had looked me dead in the eye and demanded an open marriage because that's how it's going to be, now groveling like she'd never said it. But I didn't budge, because here's the truth. Once trust is shattered, once loyalty is gone, there's no glue strong enough to piece it back together. She showed me who she was, and I wasn't about to forget it. My new relationship. Meanwhile, my relationship with the law student, I'll call her Emily, was growing fast. Emily was everything my ex wasn't. Kind, ambitious, encouraging, down to earth. She didn't need me to bankroll her self-esteem with expensive trips or Instagram-worthy photos. She was happy with simple dates, deep conversations, and building a future together. I'll be honest, it felt like I'd been pulled out of quicksand and finally placed on solid ground. After years of being drained, criticized, and manipulated, here was a woman who appreciated me for who I was, not what I could provide. Naturally, that drove my ex insane. The smear campaign. The first tactic she tried was lies. Out of nowhere, Emily started getting strange messages on social media, anonymous accounts, but it was obvious who was behind them. They accused me of being physically abusive, mentally controlling, and even financially manipulative. One message said, "Be careful with Juan. He's not who you think he is. He will ruin your life like he ruined mine." Emily showed me the messages right away. I didn't even have to defend myself. She already knew it was nonsense. She laughed and said, "Wow, your ex must really be struggling if this is what she's resorting to." But the part that made me the angriest wasn't that she tried to smear me. It's that she tried to plant seeds of doubt in a good woman's mind. My ex couldn't stand the thought of me moving on, so she tried to sabotage it. The begging. When the lies didn't work, she switched back to begging. She'd text me long paragraphs at 2 a.m. about how she couldn't sleep, how she missed me, how she was sorry for everything. She'd say things like, "I was stupid. I didn't realize what I had until I lost it. I can't bear the thought of you with someone else. Please, Juan, just one more chance. We can make this work." I didn't respond to most of them. When I did, it was short and to the point. "It's over. Please stop contacting me." But she didn't stop. If anything, the rejection fueled her more. The public meltdown. The craziest part came about 6 months after the divorce papers were finalized. She showed up at my job. I work in finance, professional environment, quiet office. One Tuesday afternoon, she stormed in, tears streaking her makeup, demanding to talk to me. She made a scene in front of my coworkers, yelling about how I threw away our marriage and replaced her like she was nothing. Security had to escort her out. That was one of the most embarrassing days of my life, but also one of the clearest reminders of why I left her. She didn't care about me, my reputation, or my peace. All she cared about was herself and the image of being abandoned. The manipulation. After the meltdown, she switched to guilt tactics. She started reaching out to my family, telling them she still loved me and wanted me back. She even cried to my mother, saying, "I know I messed up, but can't you talk to him for me?" Thankfully, my family had seen enough of her behavior by then to know better. They told her to move on. Still, the audacity floored me. She had demanded an open marriage, shattered the foundation of trust, and now wanted sympathy because I actually moved on. Unreal. Watching her fall apart. Over the next year, I watched her unravel from a distance. She jumped from one fling to another, always posting desperate selfies with captions about living her best life. But mutual friends would tell me the truth. She was miserable. The men she chased didn't take her seriously, and the stability she once had with me was gone. Meanwhile, I was building a stronger relationship with Emily, focusing on my career and feeling more at peace than I had in years. It was like watching karma unfold in real time. What I learned. Looking back, I realized something important. When someone demands an open marriage, they're really saying, I don't respect you, and I don't value exclusivity with you. It's not about exploration or fun. It's about greed, entitlement, and a lack of gratitude. My ex thought I would just sit back and tolerate it because she thought she was irreplaceable. When I proved her wrong, it broke her. And that's the part of the story I wanted to share in this follow-up. She didn't just demand an open marriage. She didn't just lose me. She couldn't handle the fact that I replaced her, and she spiraled, trying to undo what couldn't be undone. Wrapping up. True story. That's the conclusion of my saga. My ex demanded an open marriage, so I replaced her with someone younger, better, and more supportive. And when she realized I wasn't bluffing, she tried everything. Lies, manipulation, guilt, public meltdowns, but none of it worked. I don't regret leaving. I don't regret moving on. The only thing I regret is not seeing her true colors sooner. Hopefully, my story helps other men out there understand that once a woman demands something as disrespectful as an open marriage, the relationship is already dead. You can't fix it. The best thing you can do is walk away and never look back. Thanks for letting me share this with you. And thank you for giving men a platform to finally speak their truth. Take care. One ex-wife demanded an open marriage, so I replaced her with younger and better. Part 3. Lessons learned in a friend's story. Hey, true story. It's Juan again. This is part 3 of my saga and probably the final chapter. In my first email, I told you how my ex-wife demanded an open marriage and how I replaced her with a younger, better woman who actually respected me. In part 2, I laid out how my ex spiraled, lying, begging, manipulating, and trying everything under the sun to get me back once she realized I wasn't bluffing. Now, in this email, I want to take a step back and reflect on what I've learned through all of this, because honestly, the entire ordeal rewired the way I think about relationships, women, marriage, and even myself. I'll also share a fresh story about one of my close friends who's going through his own nightmare of betrayal. So bad it almost makes my story look light in comparison. Why I'll never marry again. Let me start with the obvious. I have absolutely zero intention of ever marrying again. None. Zilch. Nada. I used to think marriage was the pinnacle of life, the crown jewel. Find the one, lock her down, build a family, live happily ever after. That's the narrative we all get fed growing up. That's what I bought into when I met my ex. I thought I was lucky to find a unicorn. What I've learned is that marriage, at least in today's world, is a contract that benefits women far more than men. The man provides, sacrifices, builds, and secures. The woman has all the legal and social leverage. If she cheats, if she gets bored, if she demands something insane like an open marriage, guess what? The man still pays. He still loses. I realized that love isn't what I thought it was. It's not selfless. It's not unconditional. It's transactional. The moment the transaction doesn't benefit her anymore, she's gone. Or worse, she'll demand to change the rules like my ex did. I don't say this bitterly. I say it as a man who got burned, learned the lesson, and refuses to step into the fire again. I'll date, sure. I'll enjoy companionship, travel, fun, and intimacy. But marry? No way. That ship has sailed. Lessons from my ex. Here are a few hard truths I learned thanks to my ex. A woman demanding an open marriage doesn't want freedom. She wants a safety net. She wanted me as the provider and anchor while she chased thrills with other men. She thought I'd sit there like a fool while she got the best of both worlds. Begging after betrayal is meaningless. Once trust is gone, no amount of tears or I still love you speeches can bring it back. She wasn't crying for me. She was crying for the comfort and security I provided. Image matters more to some women than reality. She was more upset about not having Facebook pictures from vacations than about the fact we had a stable home and financial security. That should have told me everything I needed to know. The best revenge is replacement. I didn't scream, argue, or fight. I replaced her with someone younger, kinder, and more genuine. Watching me move on broke her far more than any insult ever could. My friend's nightmare. Now on to my friend's story. I'll call him Carlos. He and I grew up together, went to the same schools, even played ball on the same team. Carlos got married young to his high school sweetheart. They built a life together, had 2 kids, and on the surface, everything looked picture perfect. Then, about 6 months ago, his entire world exploded. He came home early from work one day, walked into his house, and found his wife in bed with his own blood brother. You read that, right? His wife and his brother. I can't even imagine the level of betrayal that feels like. It's one thing when your wife cheats with some random stranger, but with your brother, the guy you grew up with, trusted, shared holidays and memories with. That's a different kind of knife in the back. Carlos told me that when he walked in, his knees nearly gave out. His wife screamed, his brother stammered, and Carlos just stood there frozen, feeling like his heart had been ripped out of his chest. He walked out of the house, got in his car, and drove. He said he didn't even know where he was going. He just needed to get away before he lost his mind. Supporting my friend. When he finally called me later that night, his voice was broken. He said, "Juan, I don't know what to do. My wife, my brother. How do you even process this?" I listened. I let him cry. Then I told him straight, you don't process it. You don't forgive it. You move on. Both of them are dead to you. That might sound harsh, but I know from my own experience that once betrayal enters the picture, there's no salvaging anything. It's over. And in Carlos's case, it's not just over. It's scorched earth. The fallout has been ugly. His family is torn apart. His parents are devastated. Holidays will never be the same again. His kids are caught in the middle of divorce proceedings, and his wife, she's pulling the same tricks mine did, begging, crying, saying it was a mistake and that she still loves him, trying to make him feel guilty for wanting to leave. I told him, "Brother, don't fall for it. If she loved you, she wouldn't have been with your own blood. She's not sorry she did it. She's sorry she got caught." Why I told him about your channel. This is where your channel comes in. True story. I told Carlos about it. I told him there's a whole community of men out here who've gone through similar hell, who've been betrayed, manipulated, and gaslit, and who came out the other side stronger. I told him, listen to these stories. You'll realize you're not alone. You'll realize your pain is shared by countless other men who survived. He's been tuning in. He told me it helps. He's even considering writing his own story to you when he's ready. Reflections. When I look at Carlos, I see a man at the beginning of the road I've already walked. He's raw, hurting, and confused. I was there once too. The difference is that now I know better. I know what betrayal looks like, what manipulation sounds like, and how to stand firm. I know not to waste time asking why or how could she, because those questions don't have answers that will give you peace. The only answer that matters is she chose to betray you. Now you choose to move on. Closing thoughts. So, true story. This is where my journey ends. I've been through betrayal, replacement, manipulation, and madness. I've learned the hard way that marriage, at least in today's world, isn't for me. I'll never marry again. I'll enjoy life, enjoy companionship, but I'll never sign my name on a dotted line that ties me legally and financially to a woman. I've seen too much, lived too much, and learned too much. And now I'm helping my friend Carlos walk through his own storm, reminding him that he's not alone, that he doesn't need to carry the weight of guilt, and that betrayal is not something you forgive. It's something you walk away from. Thank you for giving men like us a platform. Thank you for letting us speak our truth when the world wants us silent. Take care.